Hello and good morning, Miss Michelle Shirley. It's good to see you.
Good good morning. How are
Thank you so
you?
much for being here. I'm great, thank you. I'm wonderful. I went for a little
Mm.
jog walk this morning. I'm good. Got my energy up.
That's nice.
Michelle is the CEO and Chief Heart Officer at Be Strong International. I am so happy to be talking to you today. I have spoken to, as you know, many of your other saltwater fellow colleagues. Michelle is again one of the spectacular leaders that are in the
Oh,
Saltwater Fellowship. Has the programming part ended for the Saltwater Fellowship?
yes,
Yeah.
actually, it just
Oh,
ended.
oh,
We're going
okay.
into phase 2 now, year 2, where it'll be some coaching, some one-on-one, and then we'll meet quarterly, I believe. Yeah. So
Awesome. Well, I was
I'm
so
missing
honored
I'm
to be
missing
a
them already.
Oh, I know. I was so honored to be a part of that. It was really a
Mhm.
wonderful group. So thank you again for being
Mm.
here, Michelle. Leaders Talk Communications is just that. It's all about highlighting how leaders like you are managing communications in their organizations. Um, whether it's a nonprofit or a company, so that other leaders can learn from you, and so that they can glean from whatever the good, the bad, the ugly. All leaders have their challenges with communications. We know, things like public speaking, for example, is one of the number one
Oh,
challenges that people have. But communicating inside your organizations with all the different stakeholders that you have to talk to, we're going to talk about that today. So let's just jump in. So first, please tell us about your work and what inspires you most about the work you do at Be Strong International.
absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me today. Um,
Yeah.
well, what inspires me is when I get to see the aha moments, if you would call it, of when people really reach that breakthrough moment in their lives where they realize like something that we've said, something hit a spark to where they realize they can communicate better either with their children or teens say like, oh my goodness, thank you so much for coming and talking to me. Now I know how I need to either have a better relationship with my mom or just respecting myself or setting boundaries for myself. So I think that's what inspires
Mm,
me. It's the transformative process that you see people go through after they
yeah.
take a course with us or their workshop. And it's things like that. Because I remember a time when we were just speaking to our team about one of the programs that we put on is the financial literacy piece around the relationship with money. And I remember when we
Mm.
used to do it, and we would have the parents and the teens do it together. And it was so interesting how teens would say, well, I didn't know a phone cost this much. I didn't know mortgage
Yeah.
costs this much, a car insurance costs this much, food costs, they start running out of money, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those conversations of them apologizing sometimes to their parents about, I was inconsiderate. I wasn't thinking about that when I ask for things, there's a budget in this
There's
household.
a
Or
cost involved with that.
there's a
Yeah.
cost to
So
everything
you
that
so
I
you talk
want.
about you talked about these breakthrough moments. Like backtrack a little bit and tell people what Be Strong International is and what you do.
So what we do, and for 30 plus years we've been doing this incredible work, is we're really all about making sure people understand how to have a healthy relationship, right? That means how do you engage well with your kids? How do you have those conversations with your kids where you can be the best parent that you can be to them to grow them and to make sure that they thrive? Whether you're a teen too, how do you relate well to your parents, your caregivers, respecting them? What's
Yeah.
your love language, right? Even with grandparents who are raising children now, how do they communicate with them a generation apart from what it is that's really going on now with social media? So, how are we connecting with our kids and making sure that our technology, while it's great, is still allowing us to connect, but not take over those really
Mhm.
important times when they should be engaging at home? We work with
Yeah.
married couples. How do we help them keep the spark alive in their relationships? Effective communication, fighting fair, knowing when to, sharing those same expectations, understanding
Yeah.
what it means to share what you're really concerned about, and sharing that in that safe space that you have with your partner. And then,
So
of
you're
course, we
working
have our
across.
social yaks. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Talk
Yeah.
about
No,
social
no, no.
yak.
And then we, of course, I was just going to add the community piece where we're bringing communities together and we're having social yaks where it's a tool that we use, that we love to play with families, but of course we do it in the community space as well. We've been doing it with corporations as well. How do we get teams to thrive in their relationships with each other? Because we do have working relationships too at work that if we don't hone
Yeah.
into those well, it can cause very toxic environments. So, all across the board, in a nutshell, it's all about healthy relationship development and how do we have meaningful connections with one another.
Yeah, so it sounds like you are working at the individual, the family, the community, the corporate
Mm,
level, all
mm,
tied around helping people develop relationships. And your big inspiring moment comes when you see that breakthrough happen. I love that. I'm like looking out the side of my eye to see if I can get to it quickly here, but
Social yaks?
yes, I use social yaks in my workshops. I use social yaks in my workshops, just the initial part, breaking the ice piece, and it's such a wonderful
Oh,
tool. People always enjoy using it,
mm,
answering the question. So thank you for that wonderful tool and that wonderful game. I played it with my kids.
mm.
Played it. My kids and I have used it on road trips. I've told you this before. I really enjoy
Yes,
social
yes.
yaks. Okay, so
Oh.
talk to me about the difference. So, man, you are really multi-generational, multi-sector, if you will. Talk to me about the different stakeholders you communicate with and where you, as Michelle Shirley, Chief Heart Officer of Be Strong International, where do you thrive in connecting with those different stakeholders?
Oh man, I mean, talk about everything from our current climate now, right? And making sure that we continue to receive the funding that we need to support our great work. So this is all about from local commissioners to state representatives to our local mayor to different town and municipality leaders, as well as other community based organizations, churches, just other nonprofits that are doing the work, schools. We have so many different stakeholders in the community that we are talking to and serving, and reaching out to about our very important work. And they know that it's important, right? We see what's happening with kids and families, and just the stress levels can be high, especially when our environment is can be unpredictable from day to day, right?
Right.
Um, and so I think if you're asking about how I connect with them on that
Yeah,
level, I
like
think
I
it's
want to know like the special Michelle Shirley secret sauce. Like, what is it that you as a leader, what is it that you feel you do, that pulls people in, that allows you to communicate well with
I
those
think
different
it's
stakeholders?
I think it's just hearing, like I just got off of a call before I came on here, and I think it's always sometimes just taking the time to understand someone else's story. Like, what is it that you
Mm,
want from this conversation, right? What are your thoughts around this? Like, how can we serve you? And you'd be surprised to know the amount of times that people are like, well, I've never been asked that before, right? Even on a funder
mm,
call, not always calling the funder when you need something, but really
yeah,
being considerate about the fact that, hey, I'm just checking in on you. I know there's a lot at stake. I know there's a lot that's going on. How are you doing? And just connecting, because it's not always about take, and what can you do for me? Sometimes it's about listening and hearing what's going on in people's minds and being part of a solution, or just being a
yeah,
listening ear that sometimes we don't have time to do anymore, right? You go to work, you walk into, if you're not remote, right? You walk into an office space and you kind of say, "Hey, how was your weekend?" And unfortunately, sometimes deep down inside, people don't want to stay long enough to hear really how your weekend was,
yeah.
right? They've got to
It's
move on to the
performative.
next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
right?
ask, but we don't really wait for the answer.
Yeah, or you're
We're not
hoping
really
that it's short
intentional.
because you gotta
Yeah.
call in like 15 minutes, right? Like, don't tell me all
Yeah.
the drama. Just share. It was
Yeah,
good.
I have to
Yeah.
I have such a great story about that. I went back in the day when I worked for British Airways. I was in our London office, and I passed this woman, and we smiled at each other, and I said, "Good morning, how are you?" And she physically stopped her body to turn and tell me how she was. And "How are you?" here is just like a hello. And I was so like
Mhm.
humbled by that, that she actually like stopped
Yeah.
to tell me how she was. She stopped to engage me in a conversation. It was
Yeah.
really eye-opening for me. I'm curious,
Yeah.
Michelle, about the government officials that you said you're talking to. When you, Michelle Shirley, as leader of Be Strong International, are communicating with those different government officials at different levels of government, what is that still the way that you connect with them? Is that still what you do to engage successfully with those government officials? What is the thing that you're doing to pull them in and to
You're putting pressure on me. You said, Michelle Shirley, what's your special sauce, right?
yeah.
Again, I think it's just being authentically you. I think it's asking questions that people wouldn't normally ask. And
Mm,
I think it's following up afterwards time and time again. Like, for example, and I won't say this person's name, but I saw them recently at an event. In prior conversations, I had asked this person around a particular thing that might have been happening. But when I saw this person, although I didn't get to interact with them at that time because it was a very crowded room, a simple text was just, "Hey, I didn't get to touch you. I didn't get to say hi to you or hug you, but I just want to let you know how incredible you are and how special you are. And I thank you for the work that you
mm,
do." That's it. I'm not asking for
wow.
anything.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think we don't do that enough. Um,
yeah,
there's no agenda behind it. It's just
yeah.
sometimes we don't slow down to do what we're thinking. Does that make sense?
It makes
It's
perfect sense. And
incredible
what's
how
so
much we
what's
push
so
past that. Yeah.
And what's so wonderful is that it's so tied into the work you do at Be Strong
Yeah.
International. Like you're connecting to connect, to establish a relationship, to nurture a relationship and not expecting anything in return. And I'm sure that's a part of the work that you're doing at Be Strong International. It makes perfect sense. Let's switch gears now to tell me about the number one communications challenge you faced as a leader and how you handled
Uh,
that. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Number 1, now we're
Yeah.
ugh, oh man,
How much time you got? No, it's
yeah, right. I would say probably we don't get the opportunity to showcase our aha moments enough, our testimonials
Mm,
enough. I think the way in which we do programming can be really taxing on our team. And while we hear these stories and we internally assess and we share and we may shed a tear or we rejoice, it's not something that you can easily, go around and just take your camera and be like, "Oh, can you say that again? Can you
oh,
write that out
mm,
in the letter format for me?"
yeah,
Because it's a genuine, authentic moment. And I think donors, and I think our fundraising, capacity is limited because of that sometimes. And so we find
mm,
ourselves kind of in that space of like, all right, we've got to really be intentional about this, guys. We've got to record this. We try, but you miss those really impactful moments when a teen just gives you a hug and they just look in your eyes and they just say, "Thank you so much, for helping me yesterday comb through, that
yeah. I
situation that I
gotta
just
tell you,
recently had."
Michelle, you
Yeah.
just you just touched me by sharing that, like, by sharing the fact
Mm,
that you sent this text message to someone. There's no reason you can't share the stories afterwards, like, you definitely don't wanna,
mm,
like, disturb the vibe of your very, like, personal sessions,
mm.
and so I think that that could be an answer, but, I always turn into, like, consultant advisor on these interviews, but I
I
think,
love it. I need it all.
that's part of what it is, but yeah, I mean, you just moved me telling me that story, and it's all storytelling. It's all sharing the
Yeah.
stories and being authentic and telling those stories. So the challenge that
Mm.
that you face is being able to like you want to be you're having these amazing moments serving people and you want to be able to replicate that and show people what that looks like. Um, I maintain that you can still do that without, I keep thinking about this song, "Don't Disturb This Groove" that I listened to like the 80s or 90s. I can't even remember the group. But yeah, you don't want to disturb the groove of what's happening in that
Right.
room. And
Yeah.
when you know you're inspired by those breakthroughs, and when you have those breakthroughs, those people are feeling that too, and you can ask them for their testimonials afterwards. Okay, so
For sure.
what has been the most successful vehicle that you've used? Actually, you kind of hinted at it earlier, that you've used to communicate more effectively with different stakeholders, the people who are most important to Be Strong International, whether that's employees or funders, or what is your best tool for communicating with those folks?
Mm. I think there's several ways. It's hard to say what's the best tool because not everybody communicates the same way and receives, from us the communication that we would like for them to receive in the same way. I think for
But I'm
funders,
talking about
sometimes
you as
it's just
Michelle. You as
okay.
Michelle. Like, is it that little private text message? Is it a face-to-face meeting? Is it like what
Yeah.
is what
It's a
what's the go ahead.
yeah. No, no, no. I don't want to cut you off. To follow you better, I think it's the intersection of what connection is for them and how they want to be um, receiving information from me or a touch point from me. So I think for some, it
Mhm.
is that text message and a phone call, or if I hear something happen to them, I'm just checking in or I'm thinking about them. I think for others, because the relationship might be a bit more guarded in a way for a reason, right? Maybe that's just a check-in where I just want to say, hey, how are things going? How are we performing? What are you seeing that we could
Mm,
do differently? How can we serve you better?
yeah.
Um, and it has nothing to do with money. I'm really, really, really intentional about making sure that we have high quality programs. And it starts with the clients that we serve knowing and telling us to what we're not doing good at sometimes.
Mhm,
So I think
mhm.
that's that piece for me, yeah, and sometimes it's sending a note,
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
I'm grateful for our partnership. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like you're very intentional about understanding what other people need, which again, um, and very intuitive about that, and very, very curious about ensuring that people feel understanding how people need to be supported, and how you respond accordingly. That's really important. That kind of, some folks have one way of doing things that works for them, and it sounds like you decide based on the individual, which I think is really powerful. So,
Yes, and I try. I try. I think at different levels too, it's different things. With employees, it's different too. With management is different. With donors, it's different.
yeah.
Understanding those nuances is important.
So I love asking this last question. I did a post about it recently because I think it speaks to vision and how you want to see the world. But if you could wave your magic wand, what would you want the world to understand most deeply about either you
Hmm.
or Be Strong International and the work that you're doing there?
Um, I'd probably say Be Strong International. I'm very still complex and working on myself.
We're
So
all a
I'd
work
say
in
maybe
progress, right?
right. My husband would chime in and say yes. Today, he'd say she's definitely grown, and he's still trying to figure me out. For the organization, um, that's a great question. I think what I would share is that the work that we do takes time.
Mm,
A generation, is approximately 25 years, right? So think
yeah.
about the fact that when we work with middle school students and we're honing in on how they express their emotion, how they share affection to their caregiver, how they learn what it means to set healthy boundaries because maybe there's some traumatic experiences that they've had, right? And here we are coming and sharing a different way and approach to how they can do things a lot better. Um,
Mhm.
that kind of change takes time.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I want people to understand that when it comes to, you may be looking at a small impact grant for just 1 year or 3 years, but a generation is 25
Mm.
years, right? And so we've got to
Yeah.
be around long enough to see what kind of transformational change will happen with them and continue to
Right.
work on programming that will track through these years of progress as they grow and develop. And I think that's not something that people are used to. We want fast results. We want impact right now.
We
We
want
want
it
change
now.
right now. And
Right.
the work inward is very difficult to do. It's transformative, but it's difficult, hard work to look
Yeah.
inside yourself and say, why am I angry all the time? Why don't I have
Mm.
joy? Why am I holding on to this resentment for so long? You know, um,
Wow.
that work takes time and it's deep work.
Yeah.
Healing takes time and intentionality. And so I think if I could wave my magic wand and have people understand that, I think they'd be more patient and graceful in the work and celebrate
Right.
with us the small wins. Yeah.
Thank you. That's wonderful. It makes me think of all sorts of things like trust-based philanthropy. It makes me think of,
Mm.
um, uh, yeah, just the challenge that we have as individuals to really change, and the work that you're doing is moving people toward that. And we can have many breakthroughs, we can have many breakthrough moments, but when you're talking about generational change, yeah, that's huge. So thank you so much for your time today. I told you it's going to go by fast.
Oh,
It's really
oh,
quick. I so thank you. I so appreciate you. My daughter says I never do the heart right, so she's got me all
it's changing all the time. I'm sticking to the old one that I love the
I
most
know,
because the kids keep changing it. I'm like, guys, come
I
on.
know. I don't know what they're doing. It's like, why don't you
Yeah,
just go like that? Is
yeah,
that easier?
it's a whole thing. I can't even keep up with it. I'm just sticking to what I
I
visually
appreciate you
see.
so much. Thank you for your time,
Oh,
and
same.
I'm glad that you were here. Bye.
Oh, thank you so much.
Bye bye.